The third principle of healthy eating is macronutrient amounts, which has a 10% impact on your health. The previous video was about food composition, which is the second principle, so if you missed it, make sure to check it out. Okay, so to start, let's define this principle. The definition of macronutrient amounts is self-explanatory. This is the amount of macronutrients you need to consume on a daily basis to support health. As we found out in the previous video, there are three macronutrients that compose the food you eat: proteins, fats, and carbs. Proteins and fats are essential to survival, while carbs are not, although they're still recommended. So long as the health minimum of proteins and fats is met, diets ranging widely in macronutrient ratios can all be very healthy. So my goal with this video is to just go over the health minimum of each macronutrient. Let's start with protein. As I mentioned in the previous video, protein is essential to survival because your body can manufacture only 11 of the 20 common amino acids, leaving 9 of them to be sourced exclusively from the diet. These amino acids construct all of your body proteins, so consuming enough of them is mandatory. But how much is enough? Generally speaking, the average person needs a minimum of around 0.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day, which means that if you weigh 150 pounds, you need to consume 50 grams of protein per day. This may not seem like a lot of protein, but remember, this is the health minimum. If your goal is to just keep your body functioning properly, this will be enough. However, if you're more active or looking to build some muscle, you should probably consume about a half a gram to a gram of protein per pound of body weight to help your body recover. Okay, so that's the health minimum. But is it also possible to eat too much protein? Not really. So long as your consumption of protein isn't so high as to push out the recommended fat and carb minima, you're probably not at a large health risk for eating too much protein. The only thing that will be at risk is your wallet, as protein is typically more expensive than carbs or fats. Now let's move on to fats. Just like with protein, your body can manufacture most types of fat, except for two, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, so they must be consumed from the diet. Okay, but how much of them should you consume? It's difficult to say precisely because in the modern world, fat undereating is incredibly rare, but based on the available research, about 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight is likely a very safe bet, which means that if you weigh 150 pounds, you need to consume 50 grams of fat per day. Omega-3 fats should make up about 1% of your daily calories, while omega-6 fats should make up about 2% of your daily calories. But consuming 0.3 grams of any kind of fats per pound of body weight per day is likely enough to cover all bases. Of course, it's possible to eat less overall fat if you focus your fat consumption on the essential fats, but eating 0.3 grams of fat per pound of body weight will almost certainly give you enough essential fats to optimize your health. Okay, so that's the health minimum. But is it also possible to eat too much fat? It is, but only for certain kinds of fats. Monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats are perfectly healthy to consume in large quantities, while an excess of saturated fats, especially transsaturated fats, is almost certainly a small detriment to health. And finally, let's move on to carbs. Carbs are not required for survival, as all essential carbs can be manufactured in the body from consumed proteins and fats. However, they still offer some net benefits, so consuming them is still recommended. Firstly, they're an excellent source of energy for physical tasks and the preferred source of fuel for the brain. Secondly, fiber is very healthy, and outside of specific supplementation, it's found only in foods high in carbs such as vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. And thirdly, these same high-fiber foods also bring with them the majority of vitamins, minerals, and phytochemicals. So if your goal is to optimize your health, carbs should probably be a part of your diet. Okay, but how much of them should you eat? Since they're not required for survival, they don't have a health minimum, but the recommended intake is at least 0.3 grams per pound of body weight, which means that if you weigh 150 pounds, you should consume at least 50 grams of carbs per day. And is it possible to eat too many carbs? No. So long as calories are kept in check and protein and fat minima is met, you can eat all the carbs you want. Now that we know the health minimum of each macronutrient, we can see that diets ranging widely in macronutrient ratios can all be very healthy. If you weigh 150 pounds, only 850 calories needs to be coming in from the essential macronutrients, which means that the rest of your caloric intake can be made up of any macronutrients you'd like. This knowledge will make you immune against many diet scams that like to demonize certain macronutrients. If you meet your macronutrient requirements, eat from mostly healthy sources, and don't eat more calories than you burn, your diet will be as close to being perfect as possible. The next video in this series will be about the principle of nutrient timing, so stay tuned and see you then. Peace!